What is good, everybody? This is your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View podcast, and we are back today, and we are discussing the NBA. And who got a lot to discuss today because it seems like every time the NBA takes one step forward, there's always two steps backwards. They always have some sort of negative coverage about the NBA. Whenever they have something positive happen, there's always something in the news about how bad it is. So we didn't have the opportunity to talk about the All-Star game, and I'm not really going to go too far into it, but I want to bring up this because All-Star weekend for the most part was pretty boring, pretty underwhelming. But then you have the All-Star game that become the main attraction and was amazing. So I bring that up to say one step forward after taking two steps backwards with that Friday and Saturday nonsense. Okay, you're thinking, man, the NBA All-Star Game, they got it right. Good, great coverage, great positivity for the NBA. And then boom, news comes out about tanking. Tanking. Adam Silver, I guess in one of the press conferences in All-Star weekend, he talked about tanking and them trying to crack down on it, what they can do. One of the reports talked about how they may take away the lottery in itself. Matter of fact, take away the draft altogether and
Yeah,
just have the players pick where they want to go and the
that would be
highest
a
bidder.
disaster.
That will be an absolute disaster. I agree. But then after that, there's been reports. Shams came out. Let me find it. Shams came out and he tweeted something about just potential ways that the NBA could crack down on tanking. Let me share my screen real quick. Um, Here we go. There's Twitter. Okay, so as you can see, he said for multiple sources with knowledge of Thursday GM meeting as well as late January competition committee, he said first round picks can be protected only top 4 or top 14. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. No longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. Teams can't pick top 4 the year after making conference finals. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Lottery extended to include all playing teams. Flattened odds for all lottery teams. There you have it.
Man,
I
some
also
a lot of those rules
it,
suck.
it's a lot, but I also want to show this. And you ever hear the saying, "The worst person you know actually made a good point for once"?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the let's talk about this person I'm talking about. Charles Barkley. I gotta give him credit. He kind of cooked. He kind of cooked. So here's the 3 ideas that Charles Barkley came up with. Number one, this is not going to happen. Like this, absolutely never going to happen. But can't raise ticket prices if you're below 500. Now that sounds great. I'll be all for it. But let's be honest. We live in a comedy. We live in a democracy. That is not going to happen. This is a capitalistic society. That's never going to happen. I love the idea though. Every lottery team gets one ping pong ball. Um,
Does he
I
mean
don't
like an additional one, or you just get
Only
one?
one. Only one. Every team in the lottery only gets one ping pong ball.
Hmm.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. That's not a bad idea.
That
That
would
is
be a
not
real lottery.
that is not a bad idea because that eliminates the incentive of just losing how many games. Because regardless, you're gonna have the same number of ping pong balls. So what's the point of uh like what the Kings are doing, telling one of their players to just go ahead and get surgery and sit out the rest of the year when it doesn't even matter because at the end of the day you have one ping pong ball. So I actually like that. I actually like that idea. And the last one, remove pick protections in trades. I think that's the best. Out of all his suggestions, I think that's the best. the best one. Because what you do is these teams, the reason why they are tanking so aggressively is because they want to make sure that their odds falls into a certain window. Like let's say your the pick is protected, I don't know,
I'll give
one
you an
to
example from
four.
this year.
Yeah, yeah, go right ahead.
The Wizards have a top 8 protected pick, and if they fall out of that top 8, the Knicks get their pick.
So they have to lose. In
Yes.
order they have to lose. They have to fall in that window, in that percentage, the
They
highest
have to be
percentage that they can
within the
get.
bottom 4 teams in order to guarantee they keep their pick.
Absolutely. So if you eliminate that, I think it becomes a lot harder for teams to just willingly say, all right, you know what? Let's not sit out our players. Let's not limit the amount of minutes for our best player, like Alex Sarr or a Trey Young, and etc. I think that just not necessarily eliminates it, but it makes it less likely. I think that's the best suggestion I heard. Just eliminating pick protections all in general. Where are you on that? What First of all,
Um,
do you like that idea and do you have any suggestions?
oh, do I like the eliminated pick protections?
Yeah.
I think to a certain extent. Like I feel like having because these teams be try to have their cake and eat it too with these pick protections, and I feel like unless you fall in within that top 5, there really shouldn't be any pick protections because it just starts doing all this extra stuff and incentivizing bad basketball practices. Um, but as far as any suggestions I have to combat the tanking epidemic, um, man, it's tough because the way the markets and stuff is set up, some teams' only option is to tank because one, they can't get free agents to sign with their team because they want to go to bigger markets. Um, and it's hard to make trades for star players because then you really not going to be able to retain said star player. So it's really a tough position to be in as a small market team that's genuinely bad. But I do think that teams that are habitual tankers and just bad year in year out, they should not be rewarded with top 5 picks back to back years. If I mean, well, I say top 3. You can't be rewarded with a top 3 pick in back to back years. That is insane. And the one rule I hate the most that Shams said in his tweet, the flatten the odds for all odds. That is a horrible idea. That is probably one of the worst ideas that was on that list he put because the reason why we're in this predicament we're in is because they already flattened the odds. If a team can, if the flattening the odds means that more teams have a better chance to jump up. So why would a team? It would just incentivize tanking even more because you don't have to. You're essentially your odds went up for being less bad, but still bad enough to get into the lottery. So it really doesn't flatten the odds would just murky the waters even worse. We'd see more tanking and the whole freezing the odds, locking the odds after a certain point. That's stupid too, because you're just going to get tanking earlier in the season. And the league could probably stomach that because football season is on. You know, people ain't really tuning in the NBA, so the second half of the season is where it really matters for them after the Super Bowl and stuff. They want teams to be competitive on stretch and play all blah blah blah, but it doesn't really affect the issue of tanking. So my whole thing is honestly, I know this probably wouldn't necessarily work because NFL and the NBA is different. But all these other leagues just say, hey, the worst team gets the best player. It is what it is. I know the NFL has like 22 positions they got to pick from in the draft, but we all know the marquee positions that get picked with the 1 and 2 pick in the NFL draft. And those are franchise altering players. If a team is genuinely bad enough, just let them get the top player. And because it's really not a guarantee that you're going to get a franchise altering dude. There's plenty of number one picks that didn't plan out. Plenty of top 3 picks never didn't plan out. So it's not like it's a guarantee you get a franchise altering player. So you just let the teams run that risk. And it is what it is. Ever since the lottery has been implemented, it's only benefited a certain few teams. Like the Jazz, for example, they only had 1 overall pick in 40 years or so. But they always in the lottery every year. So at this point, what is the lottery protecting? Does it feel like the lottery is just another way for the league to manipulate what teams get what players? That's what it feels like. Because we all saw with Cooper Flag last year how they traded Luka, and all of a sudden, and they just jump up and get the number 1 pick after nearly being in a playing tournament. Are you kidding me? Then we seen that happen that 1 year with the Anthony Davis trade to the Lakers. All of a sudden, the Pelicans get Zion. Like it's a bunch of foolishness going on. I feel like I don't understand, because this has been an issue for so long. Why harp on it like now? I know things are getting a little credit. They like teams literally just got fined for their lineup management. But I feel like, why are we emphasizing on this now when this has been a problem for I don't know how many years?
You know why?
What, gambling?
Yes, easily.
That's another problem. The gambling stuff is ridiculous.
It's literally been reported about it that these gambling companies are mad at Adam Silver about what's going on with this tanking and stuff. So it's gambling. It's as simple as that.
That's a daggone shame that gambling could possibly be the leading driver on wanting to eliminate tanking. Adam Silver don't know what he's doing, man. He legitimately, he might be the worst commissioner out of the big 3 sports in North America. Like, he's that bad.
Wow.
Like, I'll give him this. He tries to do things differently, but his implementations are always bad. Oh man, people are losing interest in the All-Star game. Give them a tournament. Teams are losing interest in the regular season. Make a tournament. Teams are losing interest towards the end of the season once the playoff brackets pretty much set. Give them a tournament. It's like, what other ideas do you have? They just doing stuff just to do it. Like, I'll give them props for at least trying, but a lot of this stuff, it doesn't move the needle. And now you want to try to eliminate one of the few ways that are supposed to help the small market teams that are in the league in the lottery system. You already flattened the odds once. You gonna flatten them again? And then you're gonna have teams that's nearly 500 being able to jump to the number 1 pick. That's terrible. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I don't know what exactly they can do, but what they proposed is just not it.
Okay, so here's my thing. I don't think tanking, no matter what they do, I don't think tanking will ever be gone. I think at the end of the day, you're always going to find a team that is going to try to take advantage of the system any way that they can. That's number 1. Number 2, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're absolutely right, because when you look at a lot of these young teams that have come to the scene now, the Pistons are a great example. The OKC Thunder made a living on tanking seasons, sitting out players. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a great example. I remember 1 year they cut a season short, told him, "Hey, go sit down," and I think they were able to get Chet that 1 year. So OKC is a great example of what happens when you're a small market team and you continue to tank, trade a bunch of assets, generate enough picks, and then now you're the best team in basketball and you won an NBA championship. The Pistons are another example where they continuously were in the lottery, picking top 5. They were finally able to get a number 1 pick in Kay Cunningham. He's been amazing for them, top 15, top 20 player in the NBA, one of the best guards in the NBA, an MVP candidate. And that's all because they tanked for 5 straight years, and then they finally got rewarded for it.
Remember the 76ers and the process?
The process as well, yeah. And well, thing is, they got Ben Simmons, who was really good for them, but then never learned how to. Yeah, that's a different story of another day.
Yeah.
But they got rewarded for it. They started winning. They started getting players, talented players that became really good for them. And when I look at this league, I think the only way that they can crack down on tanking, not 100%, but to a significant degree, is eliminating protections for picks, like Charles Barkley said, and I think eliminating the lottery altogether. Like I think the lottery is just stupid. I think it's just stupid because think about this. You okay, look at the past 10 years with the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers, remember, the Lakers, I think it was it 2019 or something? We were able to get a top 4 pick and we had probably the second worst odds in the lottery and we were able to get into the top 4 having one of the worst odds. The Dallas Mavericks the previous season had one of the worst odds and they were able to jump all the way to the number 1 pick. The New Orleans Pelicans in 2000 whatever when they got Zion Williamson that year. They didn't have high odds either and they were able to jump all the way to get the number 1 pick and ultimately get Zion Williamson. I think just eliminate the lottery in general because what you're doing is you're giving all these teams you're essentially giving all these teams the opportunity to get a number 1 pick. So all these teams can just be like, hey, we can just tank, do whatever. We don't even have to have the worst record, and we could get the number 1 pick. I just feel like just eliminate the lottery altogether. Just go to NFL route. Why is it so hard for them to not go to the NFL route? The NFL, I don't think their picks are protected. I don't think any pick in the NFL is protected. I don't even think they do that. If you trade a pick,
no, they don't do that
if
in
you
NFL.
if you trade a pick, your pick is gone. There's no guarantee. It's gone. The other team has your pick for good. Why can't the NBA do that? I don't understand the logic behind it. Just eliminate pick protections, eliminate the lottery, and go from there. And to top it all off, the other suggestion that I really like, teams that are consistently in the bottom of the league record-wise. I wouldn't say they can't do it back-to-back. I would say if this is your third time, you can't have a top 3 pick. So you can only do it, you can only double dip, and then the third time it's over. You can't be in the top 3. And I would say my only thing is how long would that team who has had a bottom 3 record have to not be able to get a top 3 pick? How long would that be? What would be the duration of time before they would be eligible to be able to get a top 3 pick again? That's my question. Would it be 5 years? If it's 5 years, that would definitely crack down teams. So I would say 5 years. I think that's how you really get teams to be like, you know what? Maybe it's not worth it.
And honestly, one thing that's being left out of these conversations is that the GMs and the scouts have to actually draft good players. Just because you get a top 3 or number 1 overall pick doesn't mean you're guaranteed a franchise altering player. You could get a franchise altering player in the opposite direction to where it sets you back some years. But I'm looking at the past. Let's look at back to 2010. We got Cooper Flag this past year, obviously stud player. Zachary Richardson, that was a terrible pick, but it was a little different for them because Alex Hall refused to want to play in Atlanta. But at the end of the day, you're the owner. What is he going to do? Just not play? You should have just took him if you wanted him. Then you got Victor Wembanyama in 2023. That was, my opinion, the last generational prospect. And the Spurs still wasn't like immediately good after that. They had to make some trades. They had to get De'Aaron Fox. They had to get drafted Stephon Castle. They had a whole bunch of things had to happen for them to be one of the top teams in the West. 2022, Paolo Banchero. People are starting to turn on him these days because he's not very efficient and all this stuff. And the Magic really aren't. You can't really. I'm not going to count the brother out too soon, but with the way this is going, this isn't a number one that you can probably win an NBA championship with, in my opinion, with Paulo Banchero. The year before that, Cade Cunningham got him back in 2021. They just started making the playoffs like last year or the year before that. And you got Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves, who he's done phenomenal work there, but they also had Karl Anthony Towns, and they also had to make additions to the roster and other things like that. Getting the Rudy Gobert, still being able to have guys like Jaden McDaniels, Nas Reed in the draft. So all that stuff is good GM stuff. Then 2000s, you got Zion Williamson, the Pelicans. I think they made one playoffs through Zion's tenure with the.
He didn't even play.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't even play.
He didn't play.
So yeah, like, and in 2018, the Suns get drafted DeAndre Ayton, who's on his third team now, and he's not even a top 3 option anymore. Maybe, like, come on now. And then Markelle Fultz, I think that was just, I'm gonna give him a little slack on that because that was a freak little situation right there. I don't know what the heck happened. He was supposed to be like that, but then Ben Simmons, the Sixers got 2 first-round picks in back-to-back years and have not made an Eastern Conference Finals. Then in 2015, Karl Anthony Towns, not even on the Timberwolves anymore. Nope. Andrew Wiggins, that didn't pan out very well for them. He won a ring on the other team he done got on. Anthony Bennett on the Cavaliers in 2013. We all know how that turned out.
Worst number 1 draft pick ever.
Yeah, he was very bad. You got Anthony Davis in 2012, ended up having to get traded to the Lakers to win something. So like, then you got Kyrie Irving who won a ring, but that's because they had LeBron on it. They had to get LeBron on the team, and Kevin Love and J.R. Smith and all those guys. And then John Wall, closest we ever got was a semifinals. So I'm saying the number 1 pick does not guarantee a team to be instant contenders or anything. So why not just put the onus on the teams to find value in the draft and just eliminate the draft lottery? Like, I don't understand. Like, we're trying to protect teams from being from their GMs doing their job. Because if teams not going to be able to acquire talent through trades and free agency because teams don't want to sign with small market teams, no one wants to play in Indiana. Respectfully, no one wants to play in Utah. So how was a team supposed to get better without going to draft? But then you're trying to punish them for utilizing probably the very few methods they have to acquire talent. Because I don't believe when Jaren Jackson is up for a new contract, he wants to resign with them. He's probably gonna want to go somewhere else, maybe go Miami or something. Who knows? But like I'm saying, like, I don't understand, man. If this is really driven by gambling companies, it's a daggone shame.
I agree with you on everything that you said. And it's funny enough because I'm looking at a team like the Hornets that are trying, like, all the things that you mentioned about holding GMs accountable by eliminating the draft lottery. The Hornets are one of those teams that have been arguably the most dysfunctional organization throughout the past 20 years. And they keep finding themselves in the lottery, getting high draft picks. And they have accumulated so much talent over the past 5 years. They still have been losing, but they've accumulated so much talent that now they have a Con Knipple, a LaMelo, a Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, like all these guys that were high draft picks for them, and yet they're still losing. And that's because organization sucks at building rosters, at building the right players around them. But because they've been so garbage over time and consistently losing year after year after year, they're rewarded with these top draft picks. And now they're on the precipice of completing the rebuild. They're still maybe a year away, but they're that close because they just kept losing over and over again because the draft lottery.
They brute forced it.
It being incentivizing these guys to tank for years on year. And it's been this way for so long. Pistons, the 76ers pretty much laid out the blueprint. 76ers, the Pistons, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Hornets now, like all these teams that effectively year after year after year tanked with the draft lottery odds. They just kept tanking because they're like, all right, yo, well, let's try to get the best percentage possible. And hey, we might get a top 5 pick here, might get a top 3 pick here, might get a number 1 pick here. It's just a consistent theme over the past 15 years. Eliminate the lottery system, go to the NFL route, eliminate pick protections, and let's just go from there. Like, what are we doing? That's
Hold
all I gotta
GMs
say.
accountable.
Hold GMs accountable. Stop letting them off the hook. The NFL, they don't let these GMs off the hook. They have to go out there and put in the work. These GMs in the NBA, they keep getting gifted with these talented players instead of, no, you got to actually go out there and do your homework instead of, oh, here's a top draft pick. You're in the lottery. We understand that, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the top pick. But if you lose enough, there's a high percentage of a chance that you're going to get one of those high draft picks that you really, really want. And just eliminate the draft lottery altogether. The Hornets should not be able to get a high draft pick this year. They
No.
already have enough guys. They've already tanked so many years. Why should the Hornets be able to get another high draft pick potentially? Just because the lottery system and the percentages, it's ridiculous. That should not be happening. So eliminate it. Eliminate it.
Like even like teams like my Wizards, for example, we in the lottery pretty much every year, but we get screwed in the lottery odds. The ping pong balls hate us. We got lucky with the Alex Sarr thing, because if we was picking it too, we might have picked Zachary Richards, say trash behind. So I'm telling you, like, even with getting like picking number 8, pick 6, we're still able to find talent in the draft. We got Trey Johnson at 6. We got Keyshawn George was a mid-teens pick. Will Riley this past year, who's been pretty solid. He was picked in the 20s, I believe. And we got Bub Carrington. Who else? Some other guys I can't remember.
Trey Johnson?
We got. I said Trey Johnson. Yeah, I said Trey Johnson.
Okay. Sure.
Obviously Alex Sarr, but that was like kind of a anomaly incident. But like, you gotta find value wherever you picking. Like the Spurs, they found a Stephon Castle. They found
Carter
they
Bryant.
kind of got gifted Dylan Harper, but yeah, like
Dylan
those
Harper,
kind of
yeah.
guys. But yeah, like I don't you just gotta know what you're doing when it comes to scouting and drafting. Like I said, let's hold these GMs accountable. Let them do their homework. Let the scout department do their homework. If a team owner doesn't want to invest in that, then hey, they just going to continue to suck. Sorry, it sucks to suck, but this whole lottery thing is just nonsense.
Yeah, and I think
And
also
if you want to get rid of the lottery and implement a caveat that you can't get the number 1 pick in back-to-back years, so be it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as well. And also, if you do eliminate the pick protections and the lottery system, let's say a team like the Hornets wants to trade their first round pick for this coming season, this coming draft, the value kind of goes down a little bit because you don't have that lottery system in place. So you have that to worry about as well in terms of, okay, what value is this pick going to be, and how is the other team that we're trying to trade it to going to look at this pick overall. So you have that to worry about. But again, the NFL, they figure out ways, and I just think with the NBA, they got to do something because at this point,
But
it's
here's the
getting
thing,
it's getting just ridiculous.
Here's the thing, but like, see, the thing you write about, sometimes picks less attractive, but at the same time, first round picks are just like a commodity at this point. Like, they're just trading 5 first-round picks for not even superstar level players. If 5 first-round picks got traded in the NFL, you would be getting like Pat Mahomes or something, or Josh Allen. Like, you ain't getting no, like, the equivalent to that Mikal Bridges trade would be like trading 5 first-round picks or 3+ first-round picks for like Brandon Ayuk or something. Like, no, like, we're not doing that. So that it would bring kind of the prestige of first-round picks back if there was no protections, because you can't just toss them away and be like, okay, we'll just tank this year and then we'll hopefully keep. Like, no, like, we need to, if you want to trade these picks, you have to stand on it.
All right. Well, talking a little bit about the NBA draft, I want to segue to college basketball a little bit because as we're talking about the lottery, the draft picks and everything, uh, I have this weird feeling about just teams banking all their hope into these college basketball players, even foreign players as well, because it's not it's very rare that you get a player and he's a franchise altering player. There hasn't really been many guys like that. You have the Victor Wembanyama's, you have Kate Cunningham, maybe Cooper Flag could be that guy. He's been tremendous for them this entire season, although they're losing, but he's been tremendous for them. Anthony Edwards, even though it took a minute for the Timberwolves to finally start winning consistently. There's only been maybe 2 or 3 guys that have been franchise altering players in the past maybe 10 years. And I say that to say, with these group of guys coming into the draft, the AJ DeBossas, the Cameron Boozers, the Darren Petersons, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about these 3 guys. And then you also have some other guys as well. This point guard, I forget his name.
What team does he play for?
I think it's Arkansas, maybe.
Oh, Darius Acuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some other guys as too. So some other point guards as
Flemings, I think
well.
he's
Clemens,
Michigan.
yeah.
You want to say? Yeah, Flemings, yeah.
But regardless, these are guys that I've been hearing a lot of buzz about. Like, oh man, you really want them on the team. If you get this guy, he's gonna change life for your team. At this point, I think it's a lot. How can I say this? I'm not as confident that these players coming into the NBA can just turn around a franchise with the mentality of some of these players now with NIL, with the whole Darren Peterson situation in Kansas and how talented he is, but with just some signs that I've seen, him subbing himself out of the game and all this stuff, I'm concerned. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I was a team that's tanking right now, if I was a team that is looking to acquire talent, especially a small market team, I would be very concerned because there's not really a guy that I look at where I can just bank on them being a franchise altering player. Because when you're a franchise altering player, you're somebody that is damn near generational, someone that you can rely on consistently. You don't have to worry about them not giving 100% effort or not finding a way to not play the game or doesn't have a significant flaw that when you come into the NBA is going to get exposed. I just think with these players, as great as they are, and trust me, I've been paying attention to some of the stats that have been going on in college with the top 3 guys that I just mentioned, because they've been putting up ridiculous numbers in college, like I haven't seen in a very long time. I just don't know if it's worth banking your entire future on believing that these 3 guys can all of a sudden come in and just change life for you. I just don't think that's the case because I'm gonna bring up these names. Paolo Banchero. Look what he's doing in Orlando right now. People thought this guy is going to be the difference in Orlando. He's going to change life for Orlando. And after 2 years, the first 2 years he was really good, but then after that, he's been a disappointment ever since. His game has gone down. Him and Franz hasn't really gelled all that well. His 3-point percentage, his shooting in general has gone down. John Morant, Zion Williamson, um, some other names, like these guys that were labeled either generational or franchise altering came into the league, got paid a boatload of money, and they either can't stay healthy, they have off court issues, or they have flaws that consistently get exposed on the grandest of stages. I just don't know if the players of today, with everything going around with social media, with NIL, so many different distractions, I don't know if it's worth banking your franchise, banking on tanking the season to hope that these players will eventually change life for your team. Where are you on that?
I would like to agree in that part. That's why I think the Wizards are kind of just like, man, let's just get proven guys and just try to build the roster up because we're a world drafting team. Let's get a couple star level players and then build around them with the good players we can just accrue in the talent in the draft, accrue in the draft, so we could build a competitive roster, so we don't have to rely on ping pong balls every year. But as far as this year's class goes, listen, you know what? Also, before I get into that, I want to say that I think this is you were right about this, but I feel like teams start believing that the whole this player's generational, like they just throw the generational tag all willy nilly. In our lifetime, I genuinely believe we've seen maybe 3 generational players come into the NBA. LeBron James, and we was like 2-3 years old.
Yeah, young as hell.
I'll throw Anthony Davis in there, and then I'll throw Wembanyama. That's it.
Mm.
Because everybody can't be generational every 2-3 years.
I think it's only two, really. I think it's just LeBron and Victor. I think AD, as great as he was, and he's still relatively great to a certain extent when he's healthy. I don't think what he brought to the table was as profound and impactful as what LeBron and Vic had brought to the table to their respective teams. I think when AD went to the Pelicans, um, the winning part of things, I know you have to have a good organization, but his impact on the floor, I don't think it was as massive as what we saw from LeBron and what we're seeing with Vic. So I would say it's really only two.
That's fair. I'm not really gonna fight you on that.
Which is brings up the generational point. That's 20 years. So like that's the generational point.
Yeah, it's because but yeah, like I was getting back on track. Yeah, like we just can't be labeling all these generational and franchise savers. Like these are 19-year-olds, the 18, 19-year-olds, and we're expecting them to save a whole franchise in a couple. Like that's just unrealistic. That's just unrealistic. This isn't like the NFL where having this really good QB on a rookie deal is going to dramatically increase your chances to win a Super Bowl. It's not like that in the NBA. A lot of these guys take years and years to develop and mature and understand the game within the game to get to the next level. Shea is like almost 30. And then he just won a ring last year. Like Giannis was like almost 30 when he won his first ring. Jokic as well. All of these, like Luka just got to the finals and he's been in the league for like 8 years. Right, to like this stuff takes time. But most superstar level players are not going to get to the finals until their second, maybe third contract in the league. So I don't like this whole idea that we just relying on a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds fresh out of college that's going to save the franchise. And a lot of times, the only way y'all able to keep these guys is because we throw a super max at them. Because if Paulo ain't get that super, he was going to dip. So I don't understand. Like, see, when you start hitching your wagon to some of these players, you really kind of, in Orlando's case, did they really have a choice but to pay Paulo all that money? I don't think so, because they would have just had to restart the whole process again. But like I said, this year's class, I don't really. There's no generational guys in that I've seen, but there's some really good guys.
Really
Like
good
Darren
guys. Yeah.
Peterson is really good, but the problem is the intangibles. Does he have the drive? Does he have the grit, the Mamba mentality, so to speak? Because he's sitting out games, he's avoiding interviews and stuff. It's like, what is going on with this kid? And
And
they said this,
is he injury prone? That's another
yeah,
thing.
injury prone. I heard. I don't know how accurate this is, but I heard something about he has like a chronic cramping condition or something like that.
Yeah, I heard
Which
Bill Self talk about that
yeah,
on posting.
that's a little worrisome. But
Concerning.
AJ DeBanster, he's great, he's good, but it seems like when he plays like a top ranked team, he's nowhere to be found. And Carlos Boozer, he's a monster, but he's not really that much of an athlete. There's some
Mm.
questions about him being kind of small for a center and all this kind of stuff. And then you got all these guys like Flemings and A-Cove don't play no defense, but he a bucket getter, and he's only in Cavaliers. Oh, he's only 6'3". And it's pros and cons with every prospect. But I'm not going to sit up here and be like the sky's falling if we don't draft one of these dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, like
But
you
again, you got
mentioned,
to have a good front office.
there's a lot of really good players. I do think with Cameron Boozer, as good as he is, is his archetype old? Like, is he one of those people that is outdated in terms of his archetype? Because nowadays you want that wing player, you want the guy that can handle the ball, you want the guy that's 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", that can handle the ball, that can create for himself. Is Cameron Boozer's archetype, the Senguns, those type of guys, are they outdated in today's NBA where you're an undersized center and you're not the most athletic guy in the world? You can score, but can you create for yourself? And I don't think, I don't know. I don't think he's one of those guys that you can really bank on to be a superstar player. And that's my problem with just tanking in general and banking all of your future on these top prospects when some of these guys, yeah, as great as they are in college, is their archetype outdated? We've seen so many times over the years, Jaleel Okafor's to some of these guys that
Andre Ayton, Marvin
they're
Bagley.
the Marvin Bat, like these guys are super talented, but they come into the league and you realize the game has changed and it's continued to changing more so towards wings, guard play than ever before. And if you're a big, you better be able to knock down a three. You better be able to pass the basketball. You better be able to protect the rim. If you can't do those things, then I'm sorry, you're not going to make it very far. So that's my thing with like drafting a big in today's generation. Like if you don't have the size and athleticism, if you're not one of those guys that can protect the paint, can be a difference maker on defense and also offensively, be a guy that a point guard can run a two-man game with, then what is the point of me drafting you? I don't think there's much value in that person bringing him into the NBA at a high draft pick because you're going to disrupt the flow of the offense nowadays. You're going to be more of a hindrance a than an asset, and I think that's why the Rockets in today's game there's a problem because Sengun's game is outdated. So
Yeah, especially because people, oh, he's baby. Yo, Jokic can actually shoot.
exactly.
Like that's
Yep.
what, and he's a A+ level playmaker. These other guys just aren't that. Like in my opinion, to justify being a top lottery pick, you have to be at least Alex Sarr, who's making a lot of impact on defense and can shoot a little tray ball and also score when needed to on offense. You got to be that level of prospect. If you're not like an Alex, I'm not taking you top 3 in the lottery.
Like a big
Yeah,
if I'm gonna
big.
if I'm gonna take a big in the top three, like you have to do certain things that translates to the modern NBA, which is what a lot of what Alex, like you mentioned, Alex R does. Victor Wembanyama. I know Victor Wembanyama is such a crazy example to use, but like he does so many of the things that you want a big to do in the modern NBA. Not like ignore like the handles and all that stuff, the ability to create off the dribble and stuff. Like ignore all that stuff. But to be able to protect the rim, be athletic enough to do a lot of these things, and to be able to shoot the long ball and be somebody that can really play with anybody. I think that's very important if you're a big trying to be impactful in the NBA. If you can't do those things, then I'm sorry. Like, what's the point of me drafting you? All you're gonna do is eventually be a liability on my team because this is the uh pace and space era.
Like
This is
think
the
of like
5 out era.
yeah, like think about AJ DeBanster is a wing and he's the same height as Carlos Boozer, who's looked at as a big. Like,
Exactly.
and they play
And
completely different.
I wouldn't be surprised if his stock falls when we get to the NBA draft, just because his archetype is a bit outdated. I wouldn't be surprised if his stock falls and we get a point guard drafted before him.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
So yeah, man, that's just where I'm at with it, bro. Like the NBA, these college players, it's just very hard for me to really put a lot of stock on a lot of these players unless you're a Wembanyama. And then we also have to talk about the maturity aspect of it all. Because a lot of these guys are immature. Like look at LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball has been in the league for how many years? Even coming out, I thought the Warriors should have drafted LaMelo Ball. I thought he was better than James Wiseman. I thought, hey, I don't care. Klay Thompson's coming back. Draft the best player available. You'll figure out a way to get him involved into the offense. But LaMelo Ball coming out of the draft, we knew he was very immature. We knew he wasn't the most mature person in the world. And he's really shown that he still hasn't grown as a person, even all the way back to before he even came into the NBA. And this has been the case for a lot of players, man. It's like they come into the NBA, they're so young, they're like 19 years old, 18 years old, coming to the NBA, and the franchises expect them to lead them to the promised land. It's like it's very rare that a top prospect comes into the NBA and they got it all together from day one, like Victor Wembanyama. That's why Victor Wembanyama is a generational prospect. It's not just because of his talent. It's not just because of his God-given ability. It's because when he came to the NBA, this dude was humble. This dude didn't take anything for granted. Like that is a generational prospect. That is a face of the NBA type of player. We don't see that from all these other players. Anthony Edwards, he was immature as well. And it took him some time before he really grew into one of those top players in the NBA, a superstar caliber player. And he's still a bit immature. But even still, he had to become a more mature and smart player over time. And a lot of these guys, they just when they come into the NBA, they're just not ready. They're not seasoned. This is not the NFL where a lot of these players they come into the NFL and immediate impact. You're going to get a return on your
And they're
investment
older.
immediately. Yeah, they're also older, 21 years old, but you get an immediate impact. You understand a lot of these players are mature. They're ready to be professionals. While a lot of these a lot of these college players
They just were in
coming
high
into the
school literally
NBA,
last year.
they just came from high school and they're getting paid a boatload of NIL money, and a lot of people have been pandering them, saying how they're all great and stuff for probably the entirety of their lives.
The AAU circuit and all that.
There's
Yeah.
so many variables that come into play into this stuff, and that's why I have a hard time really banking a lot of my hope into these college players.
I mean, it's fair. I mean, that's fair.
I think it's become even more of a risk than ever before. Even back in the day,
Especially with the age rules and stuff.
even back in the day when you had high school prospects coming out and stuff, and guys were picking like a Kwame Brown, number 1 overall, 18 years old, coming out of high school. That obviously that was very risky, but in today's time, more than before, it's just this generation. It's much harder to really uh, trust that these guys will have the commitment and the maturity to become a franchise altering player for you. Some of them will just become really good players. A Rudy Gay, a I don't know, a Jamal Crawford, or one of those guys where it's like, okay, they're okay. They're averaging 20 points a game, but you're not a superstar caliber player. You're not a franchise altering player, and that's where I'm at with it.
Hey
So
man, yeah, that's the risk you take with this whole draft thing. Really got to do your due diligence, man.
yeah, yeah. All right, man. I think we talked long enough about this topic. I want to transition to talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers because they are on it's actually a longer win streak than just five, but ever since Harden got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have been on a 5-game winning streak with Harden, and they've been doing this without Evan Mobley for 4 out of the 5 games. And I think it was against Brooklyn. Evan Mobley only played like 18 minutes. So for 4 out of 5 games, it's just really been Harden. It's been Jared Allen. It's been Mitchell, and it's been a bunch of the other guys that either was already on the team or they traded for. And they have been on a tear as of late, beating the likes of the Denver Nuggets. They just beat the Hornets last night. That's a pretty competitive team despite their record. So all I gotta say is, man, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We talked about this a little bit when the trade happened, how we felt about it, and I said that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they got better a little bit because I think Harden is better than Darius Garland. He brings more size as a guard, so he's not as much of a defensive liability as Darius Garland. Harden's a better passer than Darius Garland. Harden's a better scorer than Darius Garland, and he's going to make Jared Allen's life easier. And I think also Evan Mobley to a certain extent. But my concern was still that, can they handle physicality against the Detroit Pistons? And I, I'll say this. I'll say this, and then I'll let you go afterwards. But the Detroit Pistons are a very good team overall. They have the best record, I believe, in the NBA too. But Cade Cunningham is their only dominant offensive weapon. They run their offense primarily through Cade Cunningham. And then I think after that, they have this other guy, this other guard. I think he comes off the bench for them, and he'll give them like a scoring punch off the bench. Forget his name, but he gives them some sort of scoring punch off the bench. But outside of those two guys, everybody else is pretty much like a specialist, or they can't create for themselves. Like a Jalen Duren. Cade Cunningham creates a lot for Jalen Duren. As good as he is, he's not a go-to scorer just yet in his career. And then you have other guys like Duncan Robinson, Asar Thompson, who are pretty much just specialists and are really good at their roles, but they're just specialists. I bring the Pistons up and I bring the Cavs up as well because I believe the Cavs, again, are the best team to match up against Detroit if they were to face each other in the playoffs. And it's because I think Donovan Mitchell is a harder player to guard than Jalen. What's his name?
Duran?
No, not Jalen Duren.
Oh.
I'm thinking of the guard from the Knicks.
Jalen Brunson?
Jalen Brunson. Yeah, Jalen Brunson. I think he's a harder guard because Donovan Mitchell is more athletic, more explosive. I think it's going to be a lot harder for the Pistons to try to defend Donovan Mitchell than Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson is more low to the floor, and you can kind of I want to say just be physical with him, put a more athletic, more physical more tall guard against Jalen Brunson, and it's going to disrupt him a lot more than I would say a Donovan Mitchell, who he is relatively small. He's probably about the same height as Jalen Brunson, but he's way more athletic, way more explosive, and can do a lot of the same things that Jalen Brunson can do. So, with that being said, you acquire James Harden, who, let's be honest, not the greatest playoff performer, but what he adds that Darius Garland didn't have in his arsenal was the passing ability and also the extra, I want to say 3 inches of height or something like that. I think he's about 6'5", and Darius Garland's maybe 6 feet tall or something. So like 4 inches of height. I think that's very important in this scenario because now you can not necessarily worry as much about Harden's defense. Harden, to me, as an on-ball defender, isn't terrible. I think where he gets exposed is off-ball. That, to me, is where he gets exposed a lot. I'm talking a lot. So what is your thoughts about just the Cavs 5-game winning streak with Harden and how they can match up against the Pistons?
I like the Cavs roster so far, man. The additions, not only James Harden, but Dennis Schroeder giving them another ball handler and distributor off the bench, which is huge for them. Keon Ellis is providing some good defense out there, getting some solid stocks night in and night out. Yeah, the Cavs looking very promising. I don't know if they'll be able to hawk down the Pistons in standings, but I do like them in a hypothetical matchup in the playoffs simply because the Pistons get a lot of their money in the inside the arc, a lot of interior pressure and a lot of mid-range work. But the thing with the Cavs are they have the bigs to defend that, and they also have athletic wings on the floor. So it's kind of like a hard counter to the Pistons. And the last time we seen them match up against each other was October, and the Cavs won by like 21 points. So
I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah, they play again on the 27th, so that's going to be I'm
They
gonna
got
tune into
two
that
games in the next week. They play
one.
each other on the 3rd of March and the 27th of February. So I would say the 27th, I would maybe hold off my thoughts because remember the
Because you know
suspensions
Jalen Duren and no
and
Steve Stewart.
Stewart. But the 3rd, I want to say that's when they might come back. So I would definitely pay attention to March 3rd.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like it's like a kind of a hard counter because like as great as Cade is, he's a one-man engine on that offense right now. So, but if he's not going to be able to get his teammates involved and get them to contribute as much, I don't really see Jalen Duren doing too much against Mobley and Jared Allen. So, because Jalen Duren, he's an undersized big himself. So I think it's a hard matchup for them. It's a very tough matchup for them. Cavs against the Knicks, though. The Knicks are a little different because they have a lot of dudes that can shoot on the wing. And so they may not have to rely on generating rim pressure. You could get Jared Allen to guard the perimeter, which he isn't terrible at, but he is a center, and they got a lot of fast dudes on the team. And I think Cat always does pretty well against the Cavs for some reason. It seems like Mobley can't really do much with Cat just because of the size difference. But I do like the Cat. I think the Cavs, this is definitely a better team than they put out last year. I'll say that. As far as the roster goes and the way the team is just operating right now. They really needed a guy like James Harden who could facilitate and also get a bucket on his own and not get played off the floor on defense. So good job, Cavs. Good job.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a little weird because I'm looking at the past games that the Cavs played the Knicks, and the Knicks have gotten the best of them twice. But this was around the time where the Cavs was looking really shaky, and this is before the trades. I think now with the addition of Harden and with some of these role players that they acquired, I think they match up pretty well against the Knicks, in my opinion, especially in the playoffs. And I know last year, I know last year's last year, but last year they was putting the smoke against the Knicks every time they faced one another. And I think some of these additions are really going to help them if they were to face the Knicks again. And they are going to actually play the Knicks in on the 24th. So that's another game. They got some games coming up. They got the They got the Pistons twice. They have the Knicks. OKC's not gonna have Shea, and I don't think they're gonna have
J-Dub.
J-Dub either. So that's a game I'm not really gonna worry about. But they got the Celtics on the 8th of March. They got Philly. They have I guess Milwaukee. You know, you could never sneeze on Milwaukee. But yeah, they got some games coming up where we're really gonna see how good this
Yeah.
Cavs team is. Because now we're getting close to playoff time. This is when teams start to ramp up, trying to get on a deep run late into the season. This is the time that we're really going to see what teams are made of, and I'm excited. I think this
Yeah.
Cavs team has a lot of potential, and just looking at some of the analytics, it's a small sample size, but let me share my screen. Let's see. It's a small sample size, but this is the wrong one. This is the trying to find these advanced analytics. Yeah, but in 3 games, these are 3 games with this lineup. They have a 122 offensive rating. Now their defensive rating is terrible, but just looking down the list, when you have Dennis Schroeder, when you have Donovan Mitchell, when you have Thomas Bryant, Keon Ellis, and Tomlin, these guys 132 offensive rating, 100 rating. Got some other lineups as well. I think the one with Mobley, they only played 9 minutes together, but they have 155 rating to a 60 defensive rating, which again, it's only 9 minutes. Can't take too much from it, but it seems so far, just looking at some of these advanced analytics, it seems very promising. We're still a small window. We still need more time to really assess everything. But as of this moment, you cannot ignore what you're watching from this Cleveland Cavaliers team.
Yeah. You can't ignore.
No, can't ignore it. All right, man. And then the last topic I want to talk about. Another story that transpired during All-Star weekend came out of nowhere. The Kevin Durant files have been leaked, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's not good. It's not good. Allegedly, by the way, Kevin Durant, he was on the Twitter, on the XDMs with his burner account, talking trash about his current Houston Rockets teammates, and even also his former teammate in Devin Booker and his former head coach, Frank Vogel. But he was talking crazy. He also talked crazy about Russell Westbrook as well. So what is your thoughts on the Kevin Durant files being leaked? Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
It's people that I trust fully, that I've never known to be liars and stuff, that have came out and said that is Kevin Durant's account. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because he has a history of having a burner account, literally having a burner account to defend himself on Twitter. And Kevin Durant, he just kind of gives off that aura of someone that would do something like that. I know people like, oh, y'all are so gullible. I fully believe Kevin Durant sent those messages. It sounds just like his tweets. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. This dude is ridiculous. He's 37 years old, doing gossiping and being shady towards teammates in a group chat of a bunch of Twitter accounts. What did he think was going to happen? Like, look, like, why are you talking about your teammates to a bunch of Twitter users who have no affiliation to the league or anything? Man, like, is he a social outcast? Like, I don't understand what's wrong with this. Like, it's ridiculous. And every time, and you see, where was the accountability in any of those messages? I know they probably just pick and chose which ones to screenshot or whatever, but man, what? Yeah, this dude needs help. This is why he's only been able to win on teams with like the Warriors, because this is not what leaders do. I don't care what anybody says. Leaders don't berate their teammates to no group chat full of Twitter users. Maybe if it's like your closest friends and you would know exactly who was telling who's what if something were to leak, but to Twitter people, like what is going on? And you know what's funny? It may be unrelated, but that man was glued to that phone during All-Star break. Every time the camera was on him, he had his phone in. Like this dude, man.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. This
one of a kind, one of a kind. Uh, I'm gonna miss him when he's gone because he brings a lot of great coverage to the sport, good and bad. But but yeah, man. Allegedly, him doing what he did is definitely not something that I would think a superstar player, especially a top 15 player all time, would do in terms of calling out your teammates in that way. Normally, you would either confront them about it or just keep it to yourself, maybe to your family members at home. Like I can only imagine what LeBron would be saying about his teammates. But one thing I haven't heard about LeBron is any burner accounts about him talking shit about his teammates at all. Any any reports about LeBron saying, oh, he thinks Austin Reeves or Luka Doncic is trash or whatever. Haven't heard much about that. So with Kevin Durant, him doing this, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why he continues to find himself in these situations where he's always um, getting caught with burner accounts, doing shady stuff. But that's Kevin Durant for you. I guess he just does not care.
and then when asked about it, he ain't even deny it. He just said he don't have time to get into Twitter stuff.
If I was Kevin Durant and I got caught and I saw my teammates, I would tell them like, listen, yeah, that was me. They caught me. I was like, yeah, that was me. And I think what you did, I think what you do sometimes, you be doing some stupid stuff on the court. That was me. There's no hiding it. Like, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna deny it? Like, come on now. When you
Yeah,
already been caught with a burner, you might as well just tell the truth. You might as
yeah.
well just be upfront with
It's the
people
music, yeah.
as is. Because at this point, look, the season already looking ugly. We've already underachieved. What more can we do? You might as well just air out your laundry and just tell your teammates, look, this is how I really feel about you. If you want to do something about it, do something about it. That's it. That's it. Like that's all you can really do.
Hey man, say man, look,
That's all you can really do.
you got to man up, own up to it.
Yeah, you got to own up to it, bro. Yeah, I called you this. Yes, I did. Because I really think that sometimes because you be doing some stupid stuff, thinking that you're me, trying to take contested mid range shots, pull up mid range shots. When have you worked on that in practice? You haven't worked on that. Not understanding your assignment. Yes, I think that. Yes, Sengun. Yes, can't play defense. Can't shoot a three. Yes, I think that about you. Got to be honest. And this honestly, this looks bad. Not really towards Kevin Durant, but towards Sengun, Thompson, and Jabari Smith. This looks even this looks even worse towards them because if an all-time great player, a guy that's won in this league, a guy that has been in the finals before, a guy that has been a part of really good teams is saying this about you, that's tough. That's tough. You look bad. I'm gonna be honest. They look worse than him.
Now I still think KD looks good because he's supposed to be the vet here, and he's over here talking trash about his teammates to Twitter users. But it does make, but I'm not going to say he was wrong about his assessment of his teammates. It's just you just don't say that as the alleged veteran and the leader, and you're the one who wanted to go to Houston. So I
That's true.
mean, you made your bed, you got to lay in it. All this team hop you doing and it's not working out everywhere you go, we're gonna have to start picking off the common denominator.
You know what else is funny? Because I remember years ago, Kevin Durant was saying all these great things about Sengun. He was like, "Man, this dude Sengun, he's so underrated." Like he was hyping him up so much, but then he gets on the team and it's a whole different story. It's like, he's not as good as what I
That
thought he
grass
was.
do be looking greener at times, but
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. But yeah, man, that just lets you know the state of the Rockets, and what's going on over there. Because if you watch their games, you're like, these guys are not in sync at all. There's no identity offensively. They're great defensively, but offensively, there's just nothing there, and they're never on the same page. Jabari Smith, he'll have open looks, and he's just not able to knock them down. Amen Thompson, they're treating him like he Ben Simmons out there, daring him to shoot threes, daring him to shoot mid-range shots, and
they
hack
talk
in the
about
paint.
he's up for a super max. Super what?
Oh yeah, I saw that too, because it was like something around 240 or something.
Yeah,
I'm like,
please.
hell no. I'm like, hell no. I also saw a report about Wembanyama being up for a supermax. I'm giving him the supermax as fast as possible. I think it was like something around 240, 250.
Yeah.
I'm like, shoot, that's a discount.
Yeah, I give it to him now.
I give it to him
if I could.
Shoot, yeah, if I could.
Amen Thompson, are you drunk? I'm giving you 200 something million just so you could play defense and not shoot? Absolutely not.
You know, I was watching this podcast, Player's Choice on YouTube.
I know that podcast, yeah.
A couple of years ago, somebody on the podcast, they were talking about Amen Thompson. And this is back when Amen Thompson's PR was great. Everybody is raving about Amen Thompson. Oh my God, he's the next superstar. Oh my God, he has so much potential. Man, if he gets a jump shot, he's going to be amazing.
I hate this term.
And this one guy, I don't think I ever heard anybody say this about Amen, but he was like, I don't see Amen like being a go-to scorer. He says he just doesn't have that mentality that he sees, and he said he would trade Amen. And I was like, you know, during that time, people was like, whoa, are you crazy? This dude coming into the NBA and he's already showing these signs, you would trade him? And to be honest, after a year and a half, 2 years, his take wasn't wrong. His take was not wrong. It was early.
And
he got criticized. But he was, hey, it took a minute, but you know what? He's not wrong. Because at this point, I'm looking at Amen and fantastic defensive player, great driver of the basketball, but
good athlete.
Great athlete, but he's not a good ball handler. He's not a good facilitator. What can you do in the playoffs that's going to resort in us going all the way to the championship? I don't see it.
Amen Thompson is the LeBron James of Jared Vanderbilt.
Jared Vanderbilt. That's a good one. That's a good one. And then Sengun as well. There was a conversation, I want to say, also on that same podcast maybe a year ago about Sengun and his play style. Because he's a 6'8", 6'9" guy who plays low to the rim, below the rim, and is a low post guy. He can't shoot the mid-range. He can't shoot the three-point shot. He can't create for himself. He's not a good passer. He's not a good passer. He's not much of an athlete. And they were saying you might need to trade Sengun too. A lot of these
one of those two got to go because the way the current roster construction is, you can't win with both of those guys on the court at the same time.
If I was the Rockets, I would trade Sengun. I would trade Sengun.
I don't blame you.
I think his play. We mentioned this in the beginning of the podcast. His play style is old. It's archaic. I don't think you can win with his play style in today's NBA. If you are not a good passer, if you are not a guy that can initiate offense, what are you good for on my team?
Listen, if like I understand, like people be like, oh, but the upside, Sengun could be Jokic. Like, do you not realize Jokic is like a generational player? Like his upside being a generational, one of the probably the most skilled big men of all time, is not reason enough for you to keep him when he's not performing up to that level. Are you crazy?
He's an outlier. That's what
Yeah,
Jokic is.
Jokic
He's
is
an outlier.
the outlier.
He is the outlier. There's not going to be another center that comes in the NBA who could do the things Jokic can do on a consistent basis. That's just not the case. He is an outlier. He is a unicorn. He can stretch the floor. He can initiate an offense. He's one of the greatest passers we've seen, and he's a center. He's getting triple doubles consistently at the center position. Do people not understand that?
Reminds me of the Jokic mentality. Oh, it's the same thing with the Josh Allen thing. Oh, Josh Allen, he may be the next Josh. No. We are not using the outliers to try to find the. No, you cannot go into holding on to players and expecting them to be something that they're not. Sengun is not going to be Jokic. At most, he could be DeMontis Sabonis.
Drew Brees is another great example where teams go into the draft and they think, well, this guy is 5'9", but hey, Drew Brees was 5'9", 5'10", and look what he did. And they use those comparisons when in reality, Drew Brees was an outlier. So, yeah, man. Yeah, that's why it's difficult being a GM sometimes. Yeah. All right, man. That'll do it on this episode of the Courtside View podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials, and we will see you all on the next episode of the Courtside View podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Salute.